name is Norman Armour. I'm currently working with the Australia Council for the Arts on international development within North America. Before that, I worked with the PuSh International Performing Arts Festival, of which I was also a co-founder. Prior to that, I co-founded and headed up a multidisciplinary theater company called Rumble Theater, which still goes today. I live and work and play in amongst the unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples here in Vancouver on the west coast of Canada. But my favorite drink would be a Vesper. It's a gin vodka martini. It's the James Bond thing, shaken not stirred. The festival has been about innovation, but not innovation necessarily in things that have never been thought before. But we didn't prejudice the idea that it had to be absolutely radical to be of interest, to be contemporary. So, to present something like the Contemporary Legend Theater and its production of Lear, which was a beautiful twist and turn and interpretation of a very well-known story, but to take an art form like traditional opera and to make sense of it in a contemporary context with also an age-old story with a remarkable artist and performer, virtuosic and genius and compelling individual on stage, to me was a way to sort of speak to, well, this is contemporary opera practice. And it's at the same time very illuminating in terms of Taiwanese culture and Taiwanese creative thinking. I think with the case of our partnership on kids, there was, to me, an extremely moving work about a son and his mother and their relationship, and in the frame of an aging, dying woman struggling with dementia, and this extraordinary tender statement or expression of love and the wrestling with the facts of her dying, with the facts of her dementia and such, was beautifully chameleon work between lighting and various scenic elements. To me, it was like a magic act. At the end of the piece, when the lights would come up and you would see this bare stage, and you go, what happened there in the last hour? And to me, it was like a shadow play. And at the heart of it, to me, a real sort of love story, a kind of honoring of an individual and a relationship between a mother and a son. That was extraordinary. And so many of us are losing our parents these days. And I thought that was a work that could attract an audience of both young and old, both sons and mothers, both daughters and fathers. The legend Lin, so if we had done anything over the sort of previous 13 years or so, it would be proven if we could present a work that was 2 hours long from another culture, that could we present something like that, have a half decent amount of people and have them stay for most of the performance and not walk out. To be in that room and to feel like people going, something is happening. This is not a superficial presentation of some kind of thing from another culture. This is serious art. This is a serious artist. This is a serious vision. And the performers on stage and the design that was brought to bear to that production had such gravitas, had such weight and significance. And to feel that audience lean in, not wish to leave the room, was, I thought, a testament to the festival. I thought a testament to our partnership, a testament certainly to the work, but also a testament to the audiences, both new and existing audiences, to say, yes, bring it on, we're ready. And I thought PuSh presented work like Black Armband from Australia, First Nations evening. 1,700 people turned up at the second day of an ice storm. It was extraordinary for an organization and a company that, for the most part, perhaps not heard of, but a work that they were drawn to. And I think that was the same thing with Eternal Tides, with Legend Lin, was that they were drawn. We communicated clearly enough that this was something that down the road they would point to and go, I was there that night. I experienced that work. So each of those works from Taiwan were chosen for different reasons, but always with the sense that there could be a connection with Eternal Tides, the whole question of our environment and grasping or grappling with the world beyond ourselves. We must and have to start to take account of in a way that is not happening at this moment. I thought was something that would speak to Vancouver across generations, across cultural backgrounds. I think that's an issue that's of great meaning to a lot of people in Vancouver. And to have that come not from a Western scientist from London telling us why we should care about the environment, but to come from an artist of such stature and such renown from Taiwan, to me, was a very particular statement to say. youth. I was very struck in Taiwan, and had been the number of times that I had been there, of the kind of energy of the emerging generation of makers, whether it's their interest in virtual technology, whether it's their just fierce sense of performance that you'll see in the dance scene. I think there's a real connection there between Vancouver and Taiwan is the younger generation. I would say in the intergenerational dialogue. And that people who have perhaps immigrated or moved as newcomers to here in the Lower Mainland many years ago, who perhaps in their preference, their familiarity is with work of a certain generational kind of taste or experience. And bringing in work or situations of dialogue and exchange between first generation, second generation, and third generation Taiwanese, I think is fascinating. Your approach and your team's approach, this idea of, hey, we're going to have sister or brotherly relationships to another Asian or South Asian country. I think it's brilliant. I really do. And it's funny because I do think it's something about in Vancouver, there's a sense of generosity to say, hey, I'm not alone in thinking this way. We have some kinship. I think this idea of having a focus country, how we alike, how we different, is a really remarkable approach that doesn't dilute the notion of it being Taiwan. It's Taiwanese culture in context of something else. It's just a really, really beautiful way to, in a sense, explore and promote Taiwanese culture. To be in context to something else, which in some ways, again, back to sort of PuSh's initial intentions, was a lot of why we thought the festival was necessary, and I guess ultimately that we thought the festival would succeed because Vancouver was that kind of city that was hungry to see itself in relationship to something else. So for TAIWANfest to have another country and to be in relationship to it and dialogue with is to me so like Vancouver. My name is Norman Armour. I'm a consultant. I work currently with the Australia Arts Council on development for North America. I live here in Vancouver on the unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, the Squamish, the Musqueam, and the Tsleil-Waututh. And I am different, just like you.